Welcome to episode 122. And today I want to talk about something that's incredibly tough as a business owner. And that's when someone just isn't working out. But you have already invested so much time and energy and money into them that the idea of starting again can just feel impossible. And to do that, I actually want to take you into the world of Gordon Ramsay. So recently, my kids have become quite interested in Gordon Ramsay, probably because of the language that he uses. And so we started watching Kitchen Nightmares. And we were watching season 8, and in episode 2, Gordon visits a restaurant and they're losing $15,000 per month. That's US per month. And the owner has already poured over $1 million into the business. So it is just not working. And Gordon looks him straight in the eye and he says, if you walked into someone else's restaurant that was functioning like this, what's the first thing that you'd tell them? And the owner replied, get rid of your chef. Get rid of him. He's the one draining. And from the outside, as the person watching, it's obvious. The chef just doesn't seem to be performing. He's not doing what you would expect of a head chef. But when you're the one in it, when you're that owner, you've made the hire, it's your money, it's your reputation, and it's your relationships. That's where it can become a whole different story. And this really stuck out to me because I have seen this over and over again in businesses. And that's because, in business, most of the time we want to be fair, right? Like most people don't get up in the morning and say, today I want to be really horrible to my colleagues. Today I want to run a business that is no good. That is just not the case. Overall, 99% of us want to be good human beings. And if the person that's not performing is nice, or they're a family friend, or they've been with us through hard times, then we naturally feel loyal and we worry about what it'll say about us if we let them go. But here's what I've discovered over the last 20 plus years working in HR. Keeping someone in a role that they're not suited to doesn't serve them and it doesn't serve your business. We may feel like we're being kind, but we're often just delaying the inevitable. And sometimes I'll say to people, kindness can feel wrong. And the example I give is if someone's eating a sandwich and they've got mayonnaise on their face, it can feel a bit wrong and a bit funny to say, hey, look, you've got mayonnaise on your face. But that's the kind thing to do. If we don't tell them that, then they're going to walk around all day with mayonnaise on their face and they're going to say, hey, why didn't you tell me? So we need to remember that sometimes being kind actually can give discomfort. Being kind doesn't always give us a good feeling. And when we're not being kind, we're also eroding trust. We're eroding trust with that person and also with the rest of the team if they're watching someone that's not performing and we're not doing anything about it, because everyone else in the team is seeing what's going on. They know when someone's not pulling their weight. And so if we don't act, then they start questioning your leadership, they start questioning the success of the business, they start questioning, well, is my effort actually recognized? And that starts to impact on their motivation, ultimately their retention in your business. They're going to get frustrated, they're going to feel it's unfair, especially if they work really hard and they think that that other person isn't performing. And then they can just end up voting with their feet. And so you lose the great people in your business and you're keeping the people that are actually holding your business back. Back in episode 59, I talked about what to do after you've made a hire and it's not working out. Things like regular check ins during onboarding, mid probation reviews, clear feedback conversations. But what about before it gets to that point? And that's where clarity and structure in your recruitment process are so essential. So here's what can help. Number one, role clarity. Before you even advertise, be crystal clear on what this person will actually be doing. Be crystal clear on what success looks like and also the behaviors that you want to see. It's not just about the performance the person's putting in, the KPIs they're hitting. It is also those behaviors that are super important to the role. So use detailed position descriptions, but not a laundry list. I mean, keeping it defined to 5 to 8 key accountabilities with action verbs. Don't get into a 5-page position description. That is not helpful to anybody. But you should have something that has 5 to 8 key accountabilities that you are regularly reviewing. So at least annually or when you're hiring to make sure that it's still aligned with what the role needs. The second thing is psychometric testing. This isn't just a nice to have. It helps you dig under the surface, beyond the resume, beyond the interview, and understand how someone thinks, how they work, and how they relate to others. And it also helps remove unconscious bias. So interviews alone are really poor predictors of performance. And, studies have shown that the correlation is around 2.6. And if you think about a perfect correlation is 1.26 is very low. If we add in psychometric tests, that can raise that up to 0.76. So that's a 3-time improvement in hiring outcomes. And the way that we get that is through using tests that have cognitive ability, integrity, and job fit assessments. And there are lots of companies that offer these. Some can be pay per use. They can be $100 to $300 per assessment. This can go through to really robust, detailed assessments with when you get feedback to the candidate, you get a nice time with the psychologist to tell you how the person's going to act in that role and what you could do better as a manager, and that can get you up to the 2,000 to 3,000. But even at that price tag, especially if you use a recruiter and you're already paid $20,000 for a hire, this is really cheap. If you think about the last time you made a poor hire and what that cost you, even if you're paying a few $1,000s for psychometric testing, that is a great investment. And it is an investment that every business, no matter the size, should be making. We also need to have structured interviews. So not just a chat, I mean a process. So questions tied directly to your role criteria and your company values. We want to avoid coffee chat type interviews. They introduce bias via familiarity and also impressive management where we're all trying to impress others, and so we're going to show that in interview. We need to use the same questions for every candidate and be really focused on behavioural examples linked to those competencies. So we need to train our interviewers in how to do this, because the truth is most hiring mistakes happen well before day one. So what do you do if you're in the Gordon Ramsay moment? You're in kitchen nightmares, it's not working, but you can't quite bring yourself to make the call. Here's what I think you should do. Number one is reflect honestly. If this was someone else's business, what would you tell them to do? Number two, document what's not working, behaviors, results, attitude, make it specific. Number three, you need to have the conversation. Don't dance around it. Be honest and be compassionate. Number four, create a clear next step. So whether that's a performance improvement plan or it's a respectful exit, clarity is key. And prevention is, of course, your best strategy. At Amplify HR, we help businesses build the kind of recruitment and onboarding processes that can prevent this kind of misalignment in the first place. It doesn't mean that you're never going to make a wrong hire, but it does mean that you're less likely to. And if you do, you're going to catch it earlier and be able to address it with confidence. So if you've got someone in your business who's nice, but maybe not performing, it might be time to ask the Gordon Ramsay question. If this was someone else's business, what would you tell them to do? And if you want help building a recruitment onboarding process that makes it easier to hire the right people from the start, you can book in a free discovery call at the link in the show notes. And if you've received value from this episode, I'd love it if you could leave a rating or a review over Apple Podcasts or Spotify so someone else can also find the episodes to help with their business. Episodes are released on Mondays, so click the subscribe button and you'll be notified of when it's available. Thanks so much for joining me. If you have any questions, feedback, or ideas for future episodes, head on over to amplifyhr.com.au or connect with me on LinkedIn and we can start a conversation.